Before I talk about Season 8, I need to talk about Season 7 and how we got here. So, solo lane is sustain, it's burst heavy, it's hybrid item heavy. Jungle is burst heavy, but you can also do hybrid items too. Mid lane is in a very weird spot where sometimes you go do more, sometimes you go Chronos Pendant, sometimes you pick up items from the spear tree, and for 2 characters in the game sometimes you go Book of Foe, but you probably should be picking up the other items because they are better. Yeah, that's pretty much it. In terms of carry you can go crit, you can go penetration, and power builds. They are honestly fine depending on what you're playing against and depending on what you're being dived on right now. In terms of support is pretty much playing similar to solo lane-ish, and they're also building similar to solo lane-ish. You're mainly going to be building defense, but sometimes you might have one pen item, but you are looking primarily at hybrid items that help your team, as opposed to just helping you. So the age of hybrid items is here, pretty much, and the age of sustain is here, and the age of burst is here, and that's pretty much what Smite Conquest currently boils down to. We seem to have sustain, burst, and tankiness all together in one meta. Yes, the Holy Trinity has merged together, and we've basically got this meta now. What's really interesting to me is the fact that healing has become so prevalent. In solo lane, people are building Zone of Gaia, and they are playing healers or people that have self-sustain. In duo lane, you are seeing sustain on the carries and somewhat sustain on the supports. Mainly at higher levels of play, people are picking up sustain heavy supports that can help their team. You basically have a lot of sustain across the entire map. In mid lane, you're seeing healers and you're seeing a lot of sustain there inherently. And with that, we now can go and talk about junglers. Junglers are not really building sustain, but they are building hybrid and burst, and that's pretty much it. Sometimes junglers are going to be focusing mainly on burst as opposed to pure hybrid, but you can be surprised at just how many characters can be played in jungle and how many builds are actually viable. The same with support and solo lane. A surprisingly high amount, if I'm being honest with you. You can play quite a few characters in everywhere at this point in time, which is honestly a testament to their balance. I will say this though, I feel like healing right now and sustain in general honestly does need some changes, but the changes they are proposing for Season 8 I don't think are the right ones. So basically, Hi-Rez has decided they want to put a global debuff on healing out of combat, which is fine. They're also then reducing the amount of potential potency that anti-heal has in combat. I feel like this is the wrong approach. Increasing the amount of healing is not exactly going to solve the healing problem. I think healers inherently need to basically be pushed towards being more supporty characters that have less damage. I know that this is going to be a difficult thing to accomplish based on a game which is very much centered around damage and has been for a while now, and most of the player base want big damage numbers, but I feel like this is probably the best way for them to do this, is to basically push healers towards healing more and less damage and give them more utility. What I'm trying to say is I feel like a lot of healers need to be reworked to be more potentially supports as opposed to being carries that have healing and do a crap ton of damage. Now, some people are going to disagree with that, and that is fine. Personally, I feel like this is probably the way to go and feel like this is the best solution to the healing problem that we've had for quite a while. I also feel like a lot of hybrid items need to have their stats decreased and need to have their costs decreased. Basically, if you're going to go hybrid and they're cheap, they need to be cheap but not that effective late game, pretty much forcing you to build luxury items in order to get effectiveness. So you build 1 or 2 hybrid items that suit the situation, and then you basically build luxury items that then benefit those items. As opposed to the situation now where you can build an entire hybrid build and be completely fine. Late game, early game, mid game, whenever. I think the problem here is the fact that we have very, very bloated stats across the board on many, many items, and I feel like this is also helping healers too much. Also, it would give people a incentive to actually build more defensive items. They built the damage, and now they have to basically sacrifice some of their damage with more tanky items, as opposed to the current situation where you can build just pure hybrid and you just do both. It really does push a lot of items out of the meta and really does cripple a lot of items in general, if I'm being honest with you. So we pretty much summed up the entirety of Season 7, and we pretty much summed up the problem in a nutshell, as well as how I would solve healing and solve the problem of hybrid items. Make them cheap, make them less efficient in terms of gold, but make it so it's sort of, this is the early game, mid game items that you should be picking up, and then have some really expensive late game items that provide you with much, much more. I feel like this is probably the way to go. So, what do we have now in Season 8? Well, what have we seen? A new map. I'm actually interested to see how this works, if I'm being honest with you. We also have inherently a new set of items. Mainly starter items, which what they've done is they've made a bunch of starter items that you can upgrade that seem to honestly fulfill the role which I was talking about earlier of like hybridy early game, mid game items. Honestly, they seem pretty good in terms of their value. I think a couple of them are pretty bad, but I think in general most of them are honestly worth using. I feel like you're probably going to see people build boots, build one item, and then they start upgrading their starter item because they are quite cost efficient. Potentially. Maybe. I'm not too sure. It is honestly going to be interesting to see what they do with those choices. We also have one or two new items on top of this too, as well as different paths that those start items can go. Overall, it seems to be an interesting set of choices. I somewhat agree with what they've done. I don't think you need to rock the boat too much. Personally though, what I would have done if I was a designer is I would have basically went, this is my power item, this is my pen item, and split them up, and this is my hybrid item that's in between but not really as good. But I think the current compromise is fine, and yeah, there's nothing else to really say. Overall, I am actually quite happy with what they've unveiled so far. The new map looks amazing. It's going to take a while to get used to. One of my big concerns though, and I do have a very big concern about this, is the rank changes. So what they've said is that they want to make it so when you play ranked, the variance stat is basically removed from the game. I don't know what to think about this. On the one hand, I think this is a good idea, because what was happening is sometimes the matchmaker would put you in a lobby and you would lose a lot of MR because you were in a very, very, very low level lobby, and the game was like, you should be winning this, but the matchmaker has basically put you in a really bad game. And then you'd lose something like 500 MR, and then you'd gain something like 20 MR. So you'd have to play a load of games in order to get even close to the MR that you just lost. I feel like making it so that there is a limit is probably fine. I'm not too sure whether the variance, like removing variance in general, is going to work or is a good idea. Other games have variance in them. I don't know whether or not it's a good idea for Smite not to have any. Part of me thinks it's a good idea, part of me doesn't. It remains to be seen. We don't really have any other changes apart from to the lobby where you can switch roles. so you can swap roles, which honestly I am happy with. This is incredibly needed, and it's also very, very good. They've also done some changes to the recommended items, as well as like the algorithm, how it's calculated, how it's going to work. They've also made changes so the game is, hey, you should be going here, this camp is up, etc, etc. One of the changes that I don't like though is the fact that if you invade a jungle camp now, people still get the timers. That's gonna make invading very, very interesting, because potentially if you invade, you're gonna have like 4 or 5 people come over because they know exactly the timers, and that's gonna make you really, really easy to kill. I don't know if this dumbing down is a good idea, but it depends. I think potentially it will help the lower skill players, but I'm not too sure. But again, like what I've seen so far, it doesn't seem too bad. I feel like maybe, just maybe it will work. I'm really interested to see how like the game plays with these new items and how it like does in general, because there's a lot of interesting stuff here. I quite like the god reveals. I think they are going in a good direction in terms of map design. Map design, they're making some changes, so they're making the map bigger and wider. They're also adding a lot more jungle camps. 7 new jungle camps, I believe. 7. I think there's a bunch of like locations where jungle camps can spawn. It moves around the map, which is interesting. You then have a gate at your fountain, which allows you to go in and out quicker, but you can only go one way. You can also jump over the wall, activate the pad, get hit by the invader's curse, and then open the gate for your teammates. That's going to make sieging very interesting. I mean, like, really interesting. Because potentially what you're going to see is you're going to see the solo laner jump over if they have a jump. You're going to see the jungler go with them. You're going to see the mid laner and the support and the carry basically stay in siege. And then it's going to be a, like, a 2 versus, like, 2 fight. And then a 3 versus 3 fight. Split up, which is going to be super, super interesting, and I'm really curious to see how the pro players play that, because that's going to make map control incredibly important, especially when you start sieging. That's also going to make warding in that area incredibly important too, because potentially you can make an ambush. Like, people walk through that narrow corridor, or that narrow gate, they are going to get smacked by everything, and that's going to be pretty impactful. The reason they've done this is really, really simple. It's because people were complaining about the fact that sieging was really, really difficult. And a lot of pro players are saying like sieging was really, really difficult against mages that have really good clear. I feel like the problem was actually the other way around, and the fact that people weren't actually sieging properly. They weren't like splitting the waves. So I'm not too sure whether or not this is a good idea. But it is cool and interesting, and it is dynamic, and it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens to it. Speaking of which, this is probably the funniest fight I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm actually surprised that you listened to me there. From memory, I don't think he did. No, he did listen to me. I'm surprised. Me and this carry haven't been getting along. So I'm honestly surprised he listened to me there. Anyway, Season 8 looks pretty good. I do like it. I feel like the game is going in a good direction. I think the healing solution is probably wrong, and I think inherently healers should be more focused for supporty as opposed to just pure damage, but I might be wrong there. We'll see. I'm willing to be proved wrong here, and I'm hoping that we can make healers less frustrating to play against, because quite frankly, I don't like playing against healers right now. And if it works, like reducing their out of combat healing, making it so you push them more towards like combat healing, which maybe then might change people's perception of how you play healers, so they play them more like a battle mage. Who knows? Maybe they will fix the problem themselves. I'm not convinced at that though. I feel like they do need some like reworking or some quality of life changes, as well as changing abilities on many healers. But I could be wrong. Anyway, that's all from me for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop doing some commentary, and I'm going to let you enjoy this very gold lobby gameplay. I wasn't playing very well this game, I'm not going to lie about that. I think this was after a loss, I'm not too sure. But enjoy the gold Xing lobby gameplay. I will speak to you soon. Oh, one thing, they are changing it so ranked is going to have a hard reset. This makes me not want to play and get the border, which sort of sucks. I have to play a crap ton of games in order to get the border, so I don't know, maybe I will. But I was thinking of getting a decent MR and then coming back to rank, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think I might just be playing rank now for the border and just be like, screw the MR, any win's a win. So we'll see. Anyway, that's it. So enjoy the gameplay, and I will see you next time. Bye bye for now.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower.
Was it worth it though? Was it?
Retreat right lane. Out of mana.
Unfortunate. I find helmets problematic, but they can help you keep ahead.
I'll gank left lane. On my way.
team has destroyed a right enemy tower.
An enemy has been slain.
Sweet move.
They are dead.
Must go down. If your enemy is secure at all points, be prepared for it.
Oh, an ally has been slain.
Sorry.
No.
He will win. Prepare himself. Waits to take the enemy unprepared.
Fire.
Retreat!
Cancel that. Gank.
Enemy left and right.
Ultimate is ready.
Enemy ultimate incoming. Your left tower is under attack. Enemy left and right. Your left tower is destroyed.
Careful middle. Retreat right lane. Sweet move. I'll gank middle lane. On my way. Attack.
Enemy has been slain. You're a G. You're a G.
Attack right lane.
Attack fire giant. Group up.
Attack right lane.
Careful middle. Straight push. All attack left lane.
Longer the fall. How unfortunate. Retreat. I will not stop until this rests in the body of my foe.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower.
Enemy ultimate down. What goes up? This is not recorded.
If you've ever like watched your gameplay back, you will notice very, very quickly just how many mistakes you can make in this game. I'm not gonna lie, I did not play well at all, and I made quite a few mistakes, and yeah, I got quite annoyed. This was after quite a long stretch of rank that basically didn't go very well. Good news is I am playing Xing support, and Xing support is amazing. Also, I would change the build significantly now, although not that much. I still think probably getting Contagion was a terrible idea, but what could I replace it with? I don't know. I'd probably pick up Staff and Mirrodin, if I'm being honest with you, because that's really, really good on Xing, especially late game once you sell your boots. So that's enough like talk. I'm going to give you some bloopers of the intro that I was going to go with.
You're fine. On my way.
So here goes nothing.
Attack.
Ah, season 7, like a fart in an elevator. And you can slowly but surely see season 8 coming over the horizon. Wait, how would it be horizon? Ah, season 7 coming to an end like an elevator fart. You can still smell it, but it's still there and lingering. Season 7 is like a fart in an elevator right now. It's just lingering about a bit too long. Slowly but surely you can see season 8 is coming along, and you know you want to have some of it, and you... What? That doesn't make any sense. Season 7 has been lingering like a fart in an elevator for quite a while now, and this is not very funny. Why am I even saying it?
Be careful.
Hello, welcome to another Smite video. So today we are going to talk about season 6. We're on season 7. I got that wrong. I don't know why I got that wrong. It's time to talk about season 7 before we can talk about season 8. Unfortunately, I didn't get into the Smite test server, even though I waked up super early in the morning. Thank you, the Americans that stole my European keys. Awesome. Ugh. Oh, damn it, my phone just went off. Hello, welcome to another Smite video. And my phone has just gone off again. Ugh, awesome.
Attack the middle phoenix.
Give up.
You have been.
Solid game.